Chibi-Robo Ziplash has been getting really bad hate and really bad reviews, and I really don't know why it's been getting the hate, as I believe the game is pretty solid. So let me give you a little backstory. So I played Park Patrol a little while before I played Ziplash, and before the trailer for Ziplash, I had no idea who Chibi-Robo was. But even from just watching the trailer, I had some sort of connection and I was hooked. So I went out and bought Park Patrol. That's the only one I could get my hands on. I couldn't get the original. And then I pre-ordered the bundle package, and I've played Ziplash. I enjoyed Park Patrol. I didn't finish the game, but having a look at the two games, I prefer Ziplash over Park Patrol. I understand that both games, and including the first one, have completely different mechanics. But that doesn't mean that Ziplash is a bad game at all. I'm still shocked that the reviews I have been listening to keep, giving this game so much crap, and I don't think it deserves what it's been getting. There's a few things people keep whinging about, like the bad flaws it has. Of course, games do have bad flaws, so I thought we could go through a few of them and just talk about them. So the first one I keep hearing people talk about is the level choosing mechanic, which I don't disagree with that it's a bad idea, but it's something which shakes up the standard level progression found in most games. So instead of going level by level, you have an opportunity to go through level 1, level 3, level 6, level 2, in that way. Because the levels aren't structured in like a story aspect. The story is structured per world, not per level. However, you can use coins what you collect through the level to buy destination number panels where you can pinpoint your next wheel spin. So you can go in a level by level basis. So in theory, it does work for everyone in the end. I don't think it's such a big deal. I did buy the number panels because I wanted to go from level to level and not go randomly. So there's that point. The second thing I see people have a gripe with is people seem to think that this game over advertises on real life items such as the candies and the lollies. And I didn't think this was going to be an issue in the game at all, because I love the idea of real life collectibles. Just like in Pikmin when you're collecting the real objects or you're collecting fruit. So I didn't feel the need to go out and buy candies and lollies after playing Ziplash. That's not the idea they had when putting real brands in the game. This was not an advertising idea. This wasn't, they didn't pay Mentos or they didn't pay candy brands to have their candy in the game. If they were trying to promote candy, I think they would have done it in a more in-your-face type way than the way they did it. But besides that, let's talk about Chibi-Robo himself. Chibi-Robo feels very good to control in-game. He plays much like he did in previous games, but obviously the direction is styled more for a platforming type experience. Animations are very fluent between movements, such as him running and then transforming into a ball, or him using his chord swing over gaps or over hazardous objects. I have to give credit where credit is due with the bad guy and bosses in this game. Bad guys feel very well implemented. Um, some having quirky yet charming features. The main sort of bad guy, it's like the Goomba of the Mario series, is the opposite of a stapler, and it removes the staples, and it's sitting there on legs, and it walks, and it's just like the introductory type of bad guy, the Goomba, but I feel that it is very cute and adorable. So I like that. And my favourite boss in the game is the bat. I just like the style and the way they went with the level. It's a very interesting boss fight and how you defeat it, and I just enjoyed it the most. It was challenging, but at the same time it was achievable, since I've completed the game, and they nailed the boss fights pretty well. Like, they're quite original and unique to the game, which I like. It was a nice, refreshing experience to play. There is a few little things what I did find slightly annoying with Chibi-Robo though, so I'm not saying this is a perfect game. The vehicle stages were a little clunky with the controls at the start. It seemed like directional movements were very unresponsive, but once I tried a few times, it did give me somewhat good use of controls, and I was able to finish those said levels. But I wish they would have just fine-tuned it a little bit more. Usually in a lot of games, the transforming powers, the controls seem to get out of hand. But in having said that, with those type of levels, the level design aspect though is beautiful with the real world aesthetic. All the different places in the world feel like the real places, but they could have pushed that further even more and tied it in with transforming levels as well as the typical bad guys per each world. They did touch on it a bit, but they could have really went full depth into it, which I feel is not a letdown, but more or less something, if they were going to do a sequel, they could potentially use more of. I also like the idea, which everyone doesn't, is the idea of his cord restarting its length at the start of every stage. I think it makes you feel helpless and gives you a sense of level progression per level. Other people think it's a cop out, and they could have done it where every level gets bigger and bigger with the more chords and all stuff like that, which I guess in a way is true, but like I said, that could be something done for the sequel. Maybe they had thought of that and it didn't work. In theory it might, but in practical it doesn't. But I didn't find his chord restarting annoying or tedious trying to rebuild. It sort of happened as you go through every level anyway, so I don't see what the big gripe everyone had there. There's heaps and heaps of collectibles in each level as well. There's 3 main coins, a few real life world candies, there's the mini Chibi-Robos, so there's a lot of stuff packed in there as well. And along with those things, there's also an outfit, I think, for every level in every world as well. I've unlocked the cat one, I know there's a Mario one, and I've got some sort of like Russian bullfighter, the person who shakes the red cloth type outfit. I've got that as well, and they are really, really fun actually, and they sort of refresh Chibi-Robo and the way he looks, so I'm really, really happy with that. And it does come with the amiibo as well, which does unlock some extra content, but it is not mandatory to complete the game. So if you don't really want to open it outside of the box, you don't have to. I've got 2, so 1 to use for the game, 1 to stay boxed in my collection, because I'm like that with all my amiibo. And finally, I just want to talk about the general feel of the game. and the general feel of the game is very, very good. It can be easy at times, but it can also be hard at times. It's one of those games where it's up to the player whether or not they want to make it harder on themselves or they want to make it easier. Like I was saying before, with the vending machine mechanic, you can choose to use it or ignore it. So if you want a harder experience while playing this game, you obviously don't want to use the vending machine, but if you are struggling, you can use the vending machine. And if you do die multiple times in one level, the game does offer you to bypass that level, but it does cost coins. So once again, it's an option. It's not throwing this at you. So Nintendo is trying to tailor make each experience for every player. Now, the only other gripe I had with this game was running out of coins. So once you start buying the destination wheel panels and just say you stuff up on a few levels, or you want to bypass, say, the transformation levels, you're only sort of stuck with a limited amount of coins unless you start replaying levels. And that's what I ended up doing, because I spent most of my money on the capsules, which you get from the amiibo. You get little trophies of all the characters and all different poses. And I won't spoil the final boss, but that's what you need the coins for. So I had to go back and start replaying levels, which I guess was my fault for spending all my money, but it was just something which was slightly tedious. It doesn't really ruin my perspective on the game, so just thought I'd bring that up. But yeah, with all of that out the way, let me just say that I love how they brought back a non-popular Nintendo character from their history. You know, it's not every day you get, you know, something which I would say has been forgotten about by Nintendo, and they've tried to, you know, re-innovate it and bring it back to the modern setting with a platformer, because Nintendo does platformers the best. So when they announced that Chibi-Robo was coming back, I bet you half were shocked, half were excited, and there was half going, who the hell is Chibi-Robo? But I'm actually glad they've decided to do something different and bring it back. So that's why I don't believe this game should be getting as much hate as it should be getting, because the game is a solid experience. It's Nintendo trying to bring back older IPs, and I think that this game should be received a little bit better, because it is a pretty solid game. If I had to rate it, I would give it a 7.5, maybe an 8 out of 10. Obviously with a few little gripes here and there, but for the main part, I like the game. So don't worry, Chibi-Robo, I still love you. Anyway, guys, this has been Pro Wilson. That's the new channel name. Hopefully